Welcome back everyone. Finally the van is fixed and on the road. So it's now April 22. The van went to one garage, a local garage. I'm not going to name any garages because I've had nothing but a nightmare. But what's happened is obviously you've seen me doing all the work leading up to the MOT. Great. I had to put it to a garage to try and sort these injectors. Now I was quoted for a full set of injectors and I knew it wasn't injectors, and the guy in the garage was adamant it needed new injectors. So he had the van for like 3 months and basically couldn't get anywhere with it. He didn't like the fact it had a cloned ECU, which fair enough, but a cloned ECU is a direct copy of my original ECU on a new motherboard. There is nothing wrong, it's perfect now. We'll get to that bit. So 3 months or 3.5 months wasted in a garage. So it sat there rusting away for another 3.5 months, which I wasn't impressed with, but hey. So took it out of there. Wasn't willing to, he couldn't get any auto electricians that were willing to have a look at the codes because it had a cloned ECU. Right, fair enough. So a couple of years ago, a guy at work, Kenny, told me about this guy Phil. I'm not going to promote his garage because it's kind of word of mouth only, and I don't really know the guy, but it was kind of not a favour, but he kind of put me in touch with him anyway. So bit the bullet and just thought, right, I'm just going to have to put the van in, and if it costs money, it costs money. So put it in. Told him what was happening, EGR fault, injector fault. So within half an hour, I'm taking the van. Me and my daughter took a run down the road, dropped it off, jumped on the bus, and was coming back up to Stony. Within like 40 minutes, this guy Phil had phoned me and said nothing wrong with the injectors. They just weren't calibrated right, which I knew from reading Mercedes forums and things. So they were coded, which means when you put new injectors in, they have a barcode on top, which is just a reference number for the ECU to read. They were all coded. I did that myself a couple of times and it had no effect. But what it was, the calibration is totally different. It basically, when I got the ECU cloned, it went back to like factory calibration, which messed about with the injectors. He has a star computer. That's the only reason I put it to him, because he's like a privateer who's got the whole star system, and he's excellent. Put it there. Within 40 minutes, yeah, nothing wrong with your injectors. That's them calibrated. That's the code away. So my heart was just like, oh my god, thank God. But he did come to find some other bits that we'll get onto in a minute. Obviously, you know what I've done to it. Loads. Spent an absolute fortune on parts. Fitted them myself. He wasn't too impressed with some of my work, which, hands up, I'm not a professional mechanic. I'm just I wouldn't even say I'm an amateur mechanic. I just play at it kind of thing. But he also said that some of the work was decent. One mistake I did make was in the vacuum system. They have vacuum transducers. Now these have to be, they're placed in certain areas and at a certain angle for a reason, which I totally overlooked. I just thought, I'm not going to put it back there because it's too inaccessible to get to. I'll put it somewhere else which is easier to get to. But they work in a vertical position, or it's either fully vertical or fully horizontal. There is no like, I had it cable tied to the back of the EGR and it was at like a 45-degree angle, and it was messing about with the vacuum system. I didn't realise that, but obviously this guy's got the experience. He must have been a Merc mechanic at one time, because he knows, his knowledge was incredible. He knew everything, and the van has never ever even since the day I bought the van, it's never driven as well as coming back from his garage. I didn't want to put it into a garage because of the price. It wasn't cheap, but as we know with anything Mercedes, nothing is. And I will give you a list of, I'll try and remember the list of things that he replaced. He replaced a lot, and he replaced things that I didn't replace because I didn't think they were necessary at the time, but he said he's that far in, it would be the wise thing to go and replace those things while he's got the engine half ripped to bits. And it made sense. I didn't want to do it because obviously I'm trying to do it on a budget, which is now well, I've never had a budget. It's when I have money it gets fixed or someone gets bought for it. But I just had to bite the bullet and do it because he had it for 6 months. So the van's been gone a total of 9 months. And I would say the last video was probably 9 months ago. It's now spring. I mean, I don't really do videos in the winter anyway because it's just too cold up here to go out and be working on stuff and trying to mess about with cameras and batteries going cold and dying and things. So anyway, got it back from Phil. It's running like it's a new van. I can't believe it. It's the first thing I noticed was, so if you've been running, if you're in limp mode now or you've been running in limp mode, you'll know how sluggish it is because it keeps you below 2,500 revs or 2,300 revs to protect the engine. So the first thing I noticed was just the amount of power I had. It was unbelievable. Not that I'm wheel spinning in a, in a 3.5 ton van, but as soon as I picked it up, started it, I had a chat with him for 5 minutes, and then hit the road. First thing I noticed is gear change, smooth as butter. I don't know if he touched the gears at all because he didn't bill me for anything related to gears, but I don't know. It's just, I don't know what he's done to this thing, but it's absolutely tuned to perfection. It's running like new. First thing I noticed, gears all the way up through the gears, absolutely perfect. It's like it's clutchless. Its clutch is beautiful. You must have adjusted that. There was on the bill a clutch idler pulley, but I thought that was for something else. I thought that was for the water pump, but maybe that was something to do with the gearbox clutch. I'm not sure. Gears are fantastic, just magic, really, really good. Before being in limp mode, as soon as you hit any kind of hill, large or small, you had to change gear to get up it because you weren't getting full vacuum, turbo, boost, So now you can just sit in sixth. As soon as you even a slight incline or a major incline, you don't need to change the gear, you don't need to change you don't have to push down on the throttle, it just sails up the hill, absolutely perfect. So that is a massive boost. Fuel consumption has doubled. I can't believe it. So I was getting about 22, 24 miles to the gallon in this thing. Alright, it's maybe not doubled, but it's making life a hell of a lot easier. I was putting, and this is before the hike that we've recently had in field duty, which is criminal, by the way. So I think we're sitting. I think fuel's about it was at 180 just not long ago. It's come down to about 169 for diesel anyway. Sorry guys, when you don't use a GoPro for ages, it seems to die, the memory card needs stuff deleted and blah de blah de blah. So what I was saying was the fuel consumption, it was costing me like 40 quid to do 3 runs to work and back. I did the same thing in this thing after it's fixed, 25 quid, and I had another maybe 40 miles in the tank. I'm absolutely chuffed to bits. Everything's running just exactly the way it should. All my work with the brakes and everything, well, the brake lines that I put, the new brake lines that I put in, and the rubber hoses, the copper pipes, and I bled them and all that, perfect. That was no fault with that. The problem was the handbrake, just purely because it had been sitting, and just 2 people walking by. The guy's laughing at me because it looks like I'm talking to myself, which I am. So the handbrake, I actually put it in for an MOT thinking I could probably get away with the brakes, but the brakes were knackered. So the discs at the front, they're beginning to polish up. The handbrake, inside a Merc handbrake, it's a drum with shoes inside it, and it also has a disc integrated into the drum for your foot braking. Adjusting them was the problem for the MOT. The back plate was completely rotten, so the springs that hold the shoes inside the drum, you couldn't, basically, if you don't have the springs on the back plate, the shoes sit like that. So you need the springs, one at the top, one at the bottom, to hold your shoes in the drum, basically that way. So failed on that. Then I went for a retest, failed again. Took it back to work, and then worked on both sides. Got 2 new spring kits, the adjuster, and all the bits and pieces, and eventually it passed. And that was that. Great. But the fault codes I had before it went away, I will put them here somewhere, were for injectors, the EGR, and a vacuum code. Now, the injector one, as I said before, was calibration, which was fixed just through a computer. 75 quid that cost for an hour's work, which I thought that's half the price of a Mercedes dealer, put it that way. I thought that was brilliant, and the guy, he's obviously a whiz when it comes to the Star computer, because like I said, this thing is running sweet as a nut. He did add on a few other things, and one of the faults was another schoolboy error by me. So the EGR, well, I say it's a schoolboy error, but you're not to know if something's, basically, we've talked about a cloned ECU, but a cloned ECU is a copy, right? But it's a copy on an original Mercedes motherboard, so it can be read by the Sprinter van. My EGR was a clone, was a copy, so it was a factory made copy, not by Mercedes, obviously, by somebody else. And that the ECU just wouldn't read it at all. And the only way you knew it was a clone was, he said there was some markings on the nuts of the like holding the EGR on the cooler and things, because it came as one unit, which I thought, I paid, I think it was nearly 350 quid for it. I thought it was a genuine part, came off eBay. But the dealer has a good reputation, so I don't know if, the problem was, you might say, oh well, you should have just put it back. I bought this thing like 2.5 years ago and fitted it myself, and then it went to a garage where it was discovered to be, like, you know, dodgy, a fake. So there was no way I was getting in contact with who I bought it from 2.5 years later, because they would have just washed their hands of it. There wouldn't have been any kind of warranty. What I think's happened is they've sent a real EGR to somebody. They've put the clone in the box, kept the real one, and sent the clone back to them saying, oh, didn't fit, wrong part, wasn't needed. Got the real one, because it's an MB dealer I used online. Obviously got the real one, and they kept the clone and had no idea, because the parts guy's just going to go, oh yeah, it looks the same as when it left. I don't know if they match the numbers or not. The numbers on the box would be the same because it's the same box, but whether he could be bothered to match the numbers to the part when they got it back, maybe he didn't do that. Put it back on a shelf, and then I got it. Or maybe a few other folk had it before, I don't know. But anyway, I got it. Phil worked out that it was a dodgy EGR. As soon as he fitted the new one, all the codes went away. Absolutely perfect. So it just goes to show, now you know that I buy all sorts of bits and pieces off eBay, but it does go with, especially with Mercedes, just go to a dealer and buy the parts. There's no point going on eBay getting second-hand parts, or going to dealers on eBay who say that they're main Mercedes dealers. Like the one I used is actually a main Mercedes dealer, but I should have just gone to my local Mercedes place in Aberdeen and just bought the bits from there. But when you're trying to save money, these are the things you think, oh well, I'll save 50, 60, 80, 100 pound, and it just ends up costing you. But I'll never learn. I'll never learn, because I like a bargain. If I think something's worth, if I think something's worth a bargain, then I'll just go for it. But it does go to show there is copies out there that are dodgy, and your best just now. See, this is the thing. Years ago, you could buy anything, and it would have been the right part. It may not have worked, but you probably could have fixed it. But now you buy something and it's a copy, a clone, it's a fake. I mean, the world. Well, let's not go down that road. Anyway, so picked the van up, drove it home, brilliant. It sat for a month at my work because well, I got COVID in the meantime, so that put everything back 2 weeks. It wasn't the worst. I felt really bad, but it was very, very mild compared to some of the stories I've heard, and I'm thankful for that. Obviously I took the Jags, but let's not go down that road either. So got it back, so everything's running sweet. He also put on a new EGR, because that one was a fake. He put on a oil cooler because the oil cooler was leaking. Now if you remember one of my videos where I put the new intake manifold on, you could see all that oil, and I was humming and hawing thinking, is it just from the intake manifold, or is there someone else that, you know, leaking? And it's happened to be, it was the oil cooler that was leaking. So got that replaced. Also got a new, so the bearing in the water pump pulley had gone. It's always been making a noise, especially when you steer hard with the power steer, and I think that belt's all connected. It was making a really, here's my neighbour coming now, lovely wee dog. So that was that. Yeah, so I got the belt, a new belt, new pulley, new bearing, oil cooler. He wasn't too impressed with the new intake manifold, probably because I put an extra bead of instant gasket around it, because I just didn't trust the gasket that was on it. It was a second-hand part. I mean, he didn't say it was rough or anything, but if you over torque the bolts on those things, it doesn't take a lot for them to snap, which I know because that's why I replaced the intake manifold anyway, because it had a cracked bolt and it was messing about the vacuum, letting air out at the source. What else did he do? Oh, he fixed my back lights. For some reason, my side marker lights I changed to LED years ago, and the back two stopped working, and then the computer wouldn't read them, and oh, it was just a pickle. So he fixed them for me as well. So all the lights are now LED and they're working. Yeah, you still get a message on the dash, but it's not an MOT failure. And I will have to do the brakes at some point, because all the brakes were brand new. It's just because the fact it's been sitting for 3.5 years, getting about 100 yards of travel every 3 or 4 months, has just, the salt air here on the coast is just eating the brakes to bits. But we're back. I'm really chuffed. Like I say, driving absolutely superbly. Bodywork looks shocking. That's going to be the next video. I'm going to have to paint this thing, because it's the bodywork is disgusting. All the spray marks, you'll see me coming into the drive in the beginning of the video. All the spray marks was the red oxide spray paint, and I'm thankful I put it on now, because it has slowed down the rust hugely. But you can basically take a knife and chip away underneath that and it's rusty. So next job is full spray. Well, not full spray. I'm going to do a 2-part acrylic. So you've heard of Raptor line. People are doing their vans with Raptor all the time. I'm going down a similar road, but this is a German product. Not that I don't like Raptor, I've never used it, I have no idea what it's like. I'm going down, it's this stuff's German, it's called MIPA, or MIPA, or whatever you want to call it, MIPA, M-I-P-A. Exactly the same stuff, 2-part acrylic paint, about the same price. You can buy tintable kit as well, which is a boost. So basically it's going to be very simple. I'm keeping the van white. Reason being, I've been looking at a lot of these Raptor line videos on YouTube, and yeah, painting your van black looks awesome, but I'll tell you now, people don't paint caravans and motorhomes in the factory black for the pure fact that in the summer, when you're camping and caravanning, it is going to be absolutely roasting inside that vehicle. And I mean, it doesn't take much. I've got a black car, which in the summer you can barely touch the paintwork, it gets that hot. So there's a reason caravans and motorhomes are white to start with. It's to reflect heat, because I don't know if it's just me, or I just can't see the reasoning behind some people's. I mean, it looks cool, yeah, a black van looks cool, but If you're building a camper van, is that practical? What if you want to go to Spain? That is going to be one of the hottest vans you've ever lived in. I mean, remember, you're converting a steel box on wheels into a home. I just don't think painting a van purely black. It looks really good. Don't get me wrong. It looks lovely. I saw a guy, I think his name, it's Raptor Coatings. He's down south somewhere. He has a little YouTube channel. He did a VW Crafter and he did a T5 as well, full black wrap or full black Raptor. They look amazing, but I'll tell you now, when that sun's blazing down on that, and they're not going to get to sleep at night, because that van will be red hot, whether it's insulated to the max or not. It will be absolutely scorching inside that van. So I'm not going black. I'm going to do the bottom black from the plastics down, because that's where the worst of the stone chip and rust is, and the rest it'll still be white. It'll just be kind of 3/4 painted. I'm not spraying it. I'm going to roller it. Believe it or not, you can roller. I don't know if you can roll a Raptor line, but this Meeper you can actually roller. Now if you use a foam roller, you get a really fine finish. It's still going to be rough. It's not going to be a gloss paintwork, although you can add a white gloss to the tintable kit to give it a nice shine. There'll still be a texture to it, but I don't care as long as it's not rusty, because like I say, it's been sitting for 3 years. I need to get this van finished and get on top of it. It's doing my head in. I mean, now that I'm driving, I'm getting looks from people, and you know, you don't want to be getting those kind of looks where it's like, this looks a bit dodgy because it's a rough van, because you know, that's how people judge you, isn't it? On your car, how shiny it is, how clean it is. I mean, it's shallow, but that, you know, out in the world, you don't want to look too shady, especially nowadays in a big van. But yeah, pleased with it. That's it fixed. So it's April. Hopefully going to get it painted in about May. I need the temperature to come up, because this stuff, even though it has a quick fast hardener with it, which you add to it, it still needs 15 to 20 degrees to set right. So I'd rather just wait another 3-4 weeks, so we're in the middle of May, and just get it right, so I don't have to go over it again. Other than that, everything's perfect. It is looking its age now. The seat covers are faded in the sun. The UV, they were black, they're now silvery grey. They're going. I won't show you the seat, but I've had so many tools, parts, bits and pieces on here. There's oil stains all over it. I mean, they were a birthday present from my sister like 4 years ago. So they're due for upgrade, so they're going to go. They're going to be upgraded. The back needs completely sorted out. As I've said before, I need a new leisure battery. The wiring is going to be looked at. I'm probably going solar as well, because I don't want to lose another battery. For what I spent on the battery, I could have bought a solar kit and a battery. Obviously, I started this van, believe it or not, looking back at YouTube, 5 years I've been doing this. Only reason it's taken 5 years is because it's a hobby build. You know, I don't live in my van, I live in a house, and I haven't got the money to just do it overnight. Now, I've been watching YouTube. I watch YouTube constantly. That is my source of TV, basically. Who has 25 grand to go and convert a van like this in 2 weeks? Certainly not me. I mean, it annoys me, because all power to the people who have got the money to do it, but it's just not, that's not van life. Van life is about normal people converting vans on a budget, not having 30 grand to, you know, play at you know, making a motorhome, when you could literally go and buy a decent second-hand motorhome for that. And I'm talking twice the size of this. It just boggles my mind. I mean, maybe they're just doing it to put it on YouTube and make some money off it. Who knows? But this is a hobby build of mine. It's just one of those things that's taken a long time. You know, I would like to think I'm a normal guy. Well, I actually don't think that. I think I'm probably quite different from a lot of other people. But you know, I have that's not a 9 to 5 job. I work as many hours as I can at the job I do, because that's the kind of industry I work in. And I've got a family. I've got a wife and a little daughter. My wife works part-time, looks after my daughter the rest of the time. Yeah, she goes to nursery. There's bills to pay. So this is a luxury. So when I have some spare money, my family and my house come first, and then this is like my thing. So when I have spare money for me, this is what I spend on. And it has taken 5 years, believe it or not. But 3 years of that, it's been sitting because I just didn't have the money. When you have a child, you know, there is no spare money for luxuries, and it's not a bad thing. It was just the way it happened, and I can't wait until I do get this half finished or finished, because my daughter is absolutely dying to go away. We through COVID and that we went away camping, and she absolutely loves camping. So this is basically glamping when you go out in one of these things. So this summer, get it on the road and put a smile on her face, because she loves the outdoors, loves being outside, loves caravanning and camping. We've been at a few like static caravans as a wee holiday break. Absolutely loves it. Loves the entertainment, like your Park Deans and your Havens and places like that. She absolutely loves that. I know that's not off-grid and it's not trendy and cool, but you know, I'm not really bothered. It's I built this for me and my family, and it'll save us a fortune, because static caravans, because of COVID, have now like tripled or doubled in price anyway. At the time we were hiring them, they had literally tripled the hire of them. I mean, people making the best of a bad situation, fair enough. But now we've got this, we can, you know, do overnighters, £25–30 a night, and still get the same entertainment that you would if you were sleeping in one of those caravans. So she can't wait to go away again, and neither can I, to be honest. It's been a long old winter. Obviously, you know, the economy's completely done. Electric's gone up, except and your wage hasn't. Inflation's gone up and your wage hasn't. Shopping's gone up, your wage hasn't. Fuel's gone up, your wage hasn't. I think national insurance has gone up and your wage hasn't. So, you know, things are tight, and it's going to be tight to finish this on a budget. But where there's a will, there's a way, and you know that I like to use different things for, you know, different installations on the van. So it doesn't have to be stuff bought from eBay at extortionate prices. That's the other thing I've noticed. eBay and camper van parts, they've tripled. It's an absolute joke. Whether it's lack of supplies or, I don't know, who knows. I'm rambling now because because I'm going to end the video and say I hope everyone's still safe and well. I hope you don't get COVID. I had it, it was terrible. But thankful that it wasn't the worst. And let's hope that this summer you actually see some videos of me and my family on holiday in this van. Like I say, next video will probably be me painting the van. Maybe in between there'll be a few doing up the back and the wiring. Right, I'll leave it there. Sun's gone down. Had an absolutely scorching day. A whole 15 degrees here in Scotland. Absolutely beautiful. And the days are stretching, so that means I can get out at night and work on this thing. Right, I'll leave it there, guys. Hope everyone's safe and well, and we'll see you in the next one.